Betty Locke Hamilton once said, "I dream of the endless possibilities for the good and close friendships that this fraternity makes possible through the years, and it awes me to think that I had a part in starting it. Just think, if it grows and multiplies, it may someday bring together into sisterly relationships women from all parts of the country who have never seen each other before. We are all who are all friends because of Theta. Every woman dreams of growing up to be a successful mother and wife, and also just a lady in general. I am here today to tell everyone why Betty Locke Hamilton is the face of successful women. Betty is the face of successful women because she started the first Greek fraternity for women. She had the values of a successful woman, and she was for the child. Betty Hamilton has done so many things for Greek life, but one of her biggest accomplishments is establishing Kappa Alpha Theta. This statement leads me to my first main point. Betty created the first Greek letter fraternity. According to an article written about Ashbury University, Betty Locke entered college at Indiana Ashbury in 1870 at the age of 17. Locke was offered to be the mascot of her father and brother's fraternity, but that just meant she was going to be able to wear the badge. She declined because she said she didn't want to represent something that she didn't know the secrets of. After a lot of research, Betty found that there were no women fraternities besides literacy clubs for women to be involved in. The same article goes on to inform us with the following. After this discovery of literacy societies, Betty and her friend Alice Allen together wrote a constitution, planned ceremonies, and designed a badge, and sought out other women on the campus who would be worthy of the membership. They found Hannah Fitch and Betty Tipton. The four were initiated in secret on January 27, 1870. Locke initiated herself first and then continued on to initiate the other three women. The ceremony was done in top secret and is still the process, or the original process is still used at the University of South Dakota. The women created the Alpha chapter of Kappa Alpha Theta. To review the first main point, we learned that Betty denied membership to two other fraternities and instead decided to create her own. She and three other women, initiated by Locke herself, made up the first chapter. Knowing what Betty went through and all the obstacles to create the fraternity, we have to learn and values of the fraternity and all of the women in this chapter. This leads me to my second main point. Betty Locke had the values of a successful woman. According to KappaAlphaTheta.com or .org, the women of Theta are leaders in their campus as well as in their community. A male classmate wrote this about Betty Locke. He said she was highly regarded and as well as duly respected by the men of the class. She did good, solid work as a student, and she was one of the best. In the daily classroom appearance, she occupied a front row seat, constantly ready for reciting, being attentive, alert, and interested in all that might be provided by the professor or said by the person reciting, ready and clear of statement and in her own recitation. This statement shows that Betty was one on campus that many students looked up to and that she was a leader. As we all know, being a leader is especially important in being successful in your community and your family. Being an initiated member of Kappa Alpha Theta, I know our mission statement by heart. The mission of Kappa Alpha Theta is yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Kappa Alpha Theta exists to nurture each member throughout her college and alumni experience and to offer a lifelong opportunity for social, intellectual, and moral growth as she meets the higher and broader demands of mature life. Betty wrote this statement, and every woman makes it a part of her everyday life. My second point proves that Betty made an impact on the lives of the people who were around her based on a mission statement. The women of Theta live by this as well. This proves Betty did indeed have the values of a successful woman. Making an impact on the community is one thing that defines someone as being successful. This leads me to my third main point. Betty was for the child. Being for the child may not mean a lot to some people who are not part of Theta, but to Thetas, it means a lot. CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. These volunteers represent children whom are abused and neglected. The program trains, recruits, and supports citizen volunteers to advocate for the best interest of abused and neglected children in the courtroom and in the communities until they're placed in a loving, permanent home. According to the CASAforchildren.com, every day 1,900 children are abused and neglected, and 4 out of these 1,900 will die. Theta works to help the children and pull them out of the homes, supporting them and teaching them until they are placed in a new home that they can further reside in. In a way, our philanthropy, we are saving the lives of abused and neglected children through our fundraisers, and even some of the sisters actually being involved as special advocates for the children. Being successful can be accomplished in many ways, but what better way to be involved in the community than helping with children? Betty Locke's initial wishes for the Theta Foundation was of women to be leaders of their community and the campus. I think it is easy to conclude that she set a great example of what she wanted for the women of her chapter. Betty had high expectations for the women of Kappa Alpha Theta, and she set very high standards for each and every one of them. With what she did, she made a requirement for the cats all over the country, is why Kappa Alpha Theta has been voted the best sorority on campus at USD for many consecutive years, as well as holding the title of having the highest GPA on campus. These stats prove the success of women of Kappa Alpha Theta, and they strive for and do end up accomplishing. None of this would have been possible without Betty's examples and leadership of being a successful woman. She was successful in the following ways. 1, she was the founder of a first women's fraternity. 2, she had the values of a successful woman. And 3, she was for the child.